scene where they had all these, you know, young people acting with me, and they were all really good, and yet there was one moment when I got to scream. Like, they had all their scary parts before I got there that day, and so I had a chance to do a scream, and I hadn't had a chance to actually really scream in many, many years, and it was so great. It was so much fun, and I totally shocked the director and the sound man, of course, as always, but because I didn't really know like what was going to come out. It was a shock where I see my dead father and his neck is, you know, slit, and I was just originally going to do just like a, you know, kind of a startled scream, but then I don't know, just something came out of it. It was just like this, you know, like kind of that kind of scream, and it was so great. And all the actors they were like white, and I just hadn't really, you know, experienced it before.
But I actually think that Heather turned the corner from the scream queens to the really smart, strong survivor girls. But is the project you're talking about, is that the one with Bill Moseley?
No, Bill and I did, yeah. We did a short film called Flashlight, and I play kind of a 50s housewife, but then the whole story turns around on itself. But we're really frustrated waiting for that director to get his act together. So, but yeah, Bill, I've always wanted to act with Bill Moseley because we've become friends here at the shows, and this was a chance where they needed like a traveling salesman who looked, you know, just so innocent and kind of like, you know, earnest, and he had this earnest look about him, and I thought Bill would be really great for that, and he was really excited about it. But I don't think anybody will ever see it. I mean, unfortunately, we did our best work.
I've got a little virtual reality project too, and I believe it's in kind of post-production limbo also in New Orleans, of all places. Mine began in Madrid, and I begged to be in it because it was this extraordinary director, Alexandro Aja. And if you guys know the film Horns with Daniel Radcliffe, it's a very unique, original, one-of-a-kind films, and it just gets better upon viewing after viewing. And the young actors in that movie are extraordinary, and I think all of them are going to be very successful in the future. But Alexander's now working for Sam Raimi in Belgrade, Serbia, and so I'm curious that that'll be out eventually. It's called Campfire Tales, and those of you lurking in the backwaters of Netflix and on demand will find me as a doctor with a very ill Lin Shaye in Midnight Man, and sidekicking Jason London, trying to seal a door that's open to purgatory in a film that's on demand, which is called Night World. Okay.
That is awesome. I've got to tell you something though. I have not acted in 20 years. I went behind the camera and I started producing, directing, and writing, and I just landed my first role. Coming back, yeah, and it was a fluke. I didn't even think much about it, and I went in and I read, and they called, and I'm playing it. So it's called Bad Girls, Bad Habits. It's a really cool breakdown and deconstruction of this girl who seemingly had it all, but you know, we're all flawed. And I play a therapist, and I think it's really awesome because she's like the grounding mother nature of this whole chaotic movie. And I go back on October 4th and have our first table read.
Congratulations, that's
And I say this with a little bit of experience. You know, we all have transitions in our career. And I was telling Toy that she's playing the therapist now, which fits her like a glove. This is a wise, wonderful woman and survivor. But I grew a beard, and I got to play doctors and therapists and professors. And I was telling Toy, it's worth it because you get more dialogue.
Heck yeah! I don't die in the first 2 scenes. I love that.
You don't get killed.
Yeah.
He was a school teacher, and they showed a clip from Nightmare on Elm Street, and everyone was like amazed that you were, Freddy. So I wanted to ask you, in your real life, when you're dealing with people who are maybe not familiar with horror movies, does it come to shock that you play, this nightmare person?
Well, the cat's kind of out of the bag. But no, years ago, I was a nerd and a sidekick and the best friend for years and years and years. And before that, I was a Shakespearean clown. And I was occasionally the offbeat leading man. But, we're all of us here are part of the Hollywood machine and the machine of show business. And people see you differently than you see yourself. And people sometimes, I know actors that have never been exploited for their best gift. You guys, we all love Mark Hamill. Who's more successful than Luke Skywalker? But Mark Hamill is also one of the funniest men I've ever been with in my life. He's hysterical, and he's yet to have a huge, big, I don't know why somebody doesn't put him in a comedy movie, or a movie like, what was that show with Jeremy Piven?
Oh yeah,
Entourage. He would be phenomenal on a show like that. And Mark doesn't need any help. He's in the biggest franchise in the history of mankind. But it's strange because I always think of Mark as one of the funniest guys I know. Turned me on to Monty Python and Lenny Bruce. And it's weird how that happens with actors. I'm quite happy, and I've made peace with my career such as it is. But I know that the best thing I probably do is play a fast-talking, cynical schmuck. And I haven't been paid a dime to do that in my life. So you never know. You never know. I mean, it's just tricky. I would ask Toy or Heather, if you could cast yourselves, and you could even use a movie in the past, and that doesn't mean you think you'd be better than the actor in it. But think of a part that you wish you could have played, or a kind of role that no one's letting you get near. Heather? Heather's in the cosmos.
I want to be in Downton Abbey.
I want to see Michelle Dockery and Heather Langenkamp throw down.
Oh yeah. I'm not giving up on that. I can even be the old, Maggie Smith character.
No, I'm with you on that, and I know
Downton Abbey too.
I've always wanted to be in a period piece, but I know that I wouldn't be in that period piece. My whole life I've been like, I can do this. I studied Shakespeare, and I was just like, they're like, yes, you will be the Moor's daughter, and I was like, no, you will be the Moor's daughter. We even talked about the Moor's daughter, but I've always wanted to do a period piece, and I think as an African-American woman, one of the things that I fought against growing up was, I would say to my agent, just submit me on any role possible, anything. And it's actually how I landed 90210. All of the white shows who weren't casting is because my agent took it upon herself to say, just see her. And then I played the role, and they're like, oh well, I never saw it as that. I'm like, good, because you shouldn't. And so I have these big dreams of playing, in a period piece. I remember Winona Ryder in Little Women, and I've always just wanted that, but I was like, okay, Latoya, where does that fit in with the reality of where you are and what your heritage represents? So then when I saw, what's the big movie that was, come on, the Wakanda Woman.
Oh yeah.
I was just saying, I was like, I'll shave my head. Because for me, I felt really close to, oh my God, that was a queendom that I
Shakespearean too.
Yeah.
In all of it.
And it had this regalness of like, I am solid, I am standing on my 2 feet, and I am woman. And I've always wanted a role like that. And so, yeah, those are kind of the roles that I would love to play, and my lips, God's ears.
So, what we just learned is we want to put corsets on Toy and Heather.
Okay, right here.
So guys, whether it's 90210V or just a ton of us, I want to thank you guys for
Thank
when I was 6, Toy, you were my crush.
Oh, thank
Robert, this is to you. If, let's say they wanted to make a prequel to Nightmare on Elm Street, and they gave you the role of Mr. Underwood, Freddy's stepfather or something, would you turn that down?
No, I've always thought that this is a missing link in the mythology of Nightmare on Elm Street. It got close to being rectified with Tobe Hooper's pilot for the TV series. And there was a script that was supposedly to be directed by John McNaughton, who did Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer with Michael Rooker. There was a prequel script, I think it was called Krueger, The First Kills. And it was the last children being killed, the 2 cop detectives that found Freddy and busted him. Then the body of the film were the ambulance chasing sleazy lawyers that get Freddy off. And the lawyers are actually the best parts of the movie. There's 2 of them. And Freddy in court, and Freddy at the table, and Freddy on the witness stand, and Freddy in jail. But it's about the lawyers getting him off. And they get him off, and Freddy gloats too much on the courtroom stairs. And the end of the movie is Freddy being burned alive. Now, I've had a fascination with these projects since I did the pilot with Tobe Hooper, but those are the 2 I like the best. I would love to cameo in anything with integrity connected with the franchise. So if it meant that I was playing a Freddy stepfather, or a relative of one of the, bastard children of 100 maniacs or something like that, where my own persona, my face, would make some plot sense. I think that would be fun. I think that would be a Valentine again to the fans. But, I think what they really want to do now is just find a new Freddy, a Kevin Bacon, a Bill Moseley, perhaps, and reboot the franchise for a new audience. I would hope they wouldn't make Nightmare 1 again. I think that's not the idea. But it would be interesting to see somebody explore, starting with part 2, and the sexuality that is so subtle and such an undercurrent in part 2, and to play with that, but not take Freddy out of the dream. Start there, a really modern horror movie, and then move on and do 3, 4, whatever they think the classics are. Reboot those. I think that's okay. I understand Hollywood does that. I mean, I've got friends right now working on the sequel to The Shining, and it's very intriguing. Danny grown up. It's very intriguing. And I love Danny McBride. He's the last person in the world I would think could rejuvenate the Halloween franchise. And yet I'm looking forward to it because I like him. And how he got it done, he must have some take on it that is so original and fresh, I'm hoping. But yeah, I think all of us would come back if it was an integrity project and play therapists,
Therapists are good.
or the old professor,
Judges.
dream professor, yeah.
Lawyers, judges.
or the mother of the sacrifice.